Hello, I'm Brian Brooks. I'm one of the programmers of SeriesFest, and welcome to the Q&A with Certified Beauty. And I'd like to introduce the creator and also one of the stars of the pilot, Olya Sueva. Hello. Did I say your name? I did your name correctly?
Olya Sueva.
Olya Sueva. Okay. I think I was close. All right. Well, congratulations on the pilot. It's terrific, and I think quite unique in so many different ways. And we will dive into some of that. But I would love to just start off about even just the title itself. I think it's kind of striking in its own way, and it really encapsulates a lot of the scenario of the pilot. So maybe talk about the title itself, and then we'll get into some of the aspects of the show.
Okay, thank you for your question. To me, the title was kind of like an obvious thing. I didn't know what else it could be. It was just Certified Beauty because as a teenager, I was, like many other girls, I was very insecure about the way I look. So becoming the model was like getting a certificate that stated you are beautiful in big capital letters, and it sort of made me feel like, oh, well, now that others think I'm beautiful and pay me money to like be in a magazine or do a show, that means I'm beautiful. So the name for the show just kind of was always there.
There's one scene when one of the characters, Larissa, she definitely wants to be a model, and she's going above and beyond, to get her foot in the door.
Willing to do anything.
Willing to do anything. And your character, had advised her to say that, to play up the karate aspect, as opposed, but then, she made a mistake, quote unquote mistake, and said that, that her aspiration was to be a model. And I found that really interesting, actually. Like it's almost like as if you really do want to be a model, that somehow is frowned upon. And I was interested why, or how that became an important part, or an important part to include that in the scene.
Oh, what exactly? Like, what do you mean? What became the important part?
Well, just that she that she didn't feel like she wanted to say that her aspiration was karate. Like she wanted to say that her aspiration was to be a model.
Yeah, well, because Larissa doesn't see any value in being a karate champion anymore, because that sort of like doesn't work with the dream she has. Like if she becomes a model, then automatically she finds worth for herself. So becoming a model, that means for Larissa, it means that everything she ever dreamed of, sort of that dream becomes true. She has this idea that modeling is that amazing world where things are beautiful and you get paid and you see the world and you're just happy. And of course, the character that I played is an older person who went through that world and knows that it's nothing like that. So she sort of doesn't want to say it straightforward, like don't go for it, but she wants to maybe gently be like, think about it. Sport is a career too, and it's a big achievement to become a champion in karate, and like tries to sway her a little bit of that crazy idea that if she becomes a model, a huge happiness is gonna fall on her head.
Right. And then let's talk about your character a bit, because your character, we see, maybe a glimpse that she has her aspirations behind the camera. She's a photographer. And maybe there's even some parallel again with you, because you have of course been in front of the camera, but you also you've done short films, from my understanding, and this isn't your first foray to the creative side of this. So maybe talk about that a bit.
Yeah, well, I did 7 short films before I did my first feature film as a director. And yes, of course, there is like a parallel to my real life. Like I was objectified and photographed for so many years that I decided that it would be interesting if I'll play out with this character how it would be like to be on the other side and sort of be the woman who objectifies men. And after shooting a pilot, I realized that this character needs more work, and I wrote a new version of this character that is much more committed to this whole idea of taking pictures of men. And I really go far with pushing boundaries of like, you know, this dynamic, a woman behind the camera, objectifying a guy, and sort of like put women in the power position and put men on the other side, so we can see how that plays out, the reverse, because the world today as we know it is the world where men objectify women. And I want to do the reverse, you know, and I want to explore what it would be like, you know, when we have a woman in front of a woman with the camera telling a guy like, why don't you take off your shirt, turn around, smile,
fix your hair,
you look great, you know, why don't you take off your pants, let's see how you look in profile, like all these crazy things that you can hear as a model when you are like on set, like literally show me your teeth, show me your profile, can I see your back, like all these crazy questions that I was so used to hear when I worked, like how will people feel when they see a man who gets all these requests? Like, how does it make you feel? How do you relate to this? Do you relate to this at all? It's just, I think it's so interesting.
I look forward to further episodes and seeing like how this sort of reversal plays out. So I do.
You as a man, when you see a scene where a man gets asked all these questions, do you like feel sorry for him? Do you think it's really weird? Do you think it's gonna violate like your male being? I just like really want people to see how they feel about it. Right.
That's good. So I'm gonna pivot over to a totally different aspect of beauty. I thought that the pilot was beautifully shot. I mean, I am surprisingly, I guess I'm surprised that, you know, when it's a pilot, you know, just how great, like so many people who've had their pilots at SeriesFest, including yours. I mean, just it's so definitely my compliments. So talk about the cinematography and who did it, who shot it, and what you were going for.
Cinematographer is my great friend, Fyodor Les. He is definitely one of the best cinematographers out there in Russia, and he's done a lot of work in the US. And he's just been there as long as I remember myself in the field of film. And he shot my first feature film. And when I came up with this pilot and, you know, asked him if you want to do that, he was, you know, very interested and very supportive. And Fyodor is he's a real artist, like the way he sees people, the way he shoots portrait. It's so different from like the way I sort of expect a cinematographer to see what I wrote. He just takes it to another level. And sometimes it's so weird and sometimes it's so like unexpected, but he always has this very different point of view, which I really like. And I think together we just work really well. He's a very complex person. He's not that like, you know, easy guy and you just like tell him what you want and he does it. He always like challenges me. And I really like to work with him because I sort of never know what to expect from him.
Yeah, cool. That's
he
great.
always gives it an edge, you know?
Yeah, it was really beautiful. I was very impressed. And actually it was, I mean, related to that, like I'm a New Yorker. I'm in New York right now. SeriesFest, of course, takes place in Denver. Yes. So, but I could, you know, it seemed like those opening scenes and the scenes where your character, it definitely looked like New York to me. So where did you, I assume you shot in New York, but
I shot it in New York, on the streets of New York, mostly like Soho, Nolita area. Like I wanted to be a really obvious model spot. So I stayed there, like where all the agencies are.
And then you also shot in Russia as well?
Yeah, in Russia, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Moscow, and some
Wow. How long was the shoot overall for the first?
We had 12 shooting days.
12 shooting days. Wow. 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 Amazing. Amazing. So can you give a sense, just to kind of wrap up? I mean, can you give me a sense of where the story goes from here, or maybe a little tease of what we might expect down the line?
Well, I mean, the story is still, I'm still writing and rewriting it in my head, but I do have a first season, and it's just 3 completely different lives of those women. One really wants to be a model and is willing to do anything. The other one has been a model her entire life. She didn't learn anything else. And what else is there when all you know is how to pose? When you don't have a profession, when you don't know how to do anything else, like what do you do? Where do you go from there? Right. And then this other girl who just needs to survive this horrible life circumstance, and modeling is just going to be a huge challenge for her, because she's anything but wants to be, she doesn't want like to be out there, she doesn't want to have attention, she doesn't want all this glam and beauty, she just like wants to be safe. And modeling is not, I mean, I don't want to say that it's unsafe, but it can be extremely risky and challenging, especially for a young person. So for her to survive and go into this sort of risky environment is going to be very interesting ride for sure. Right.
All right. Well, congratulations, Olyazueva, Certified Beauty. Fantastic. And so glad that it's showing at SeriesFest. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.